As things tank under Trump, it'll be harder to keep hope alive. But I bet most of us will try, because what else can we do? Staying hopeful can seem like the only alternative to cynicism. Maybe we'll keep our heroic hopes up by watching less news and more TV fiction. In most TV fiction, heroes keep their hopes alive no matter what. In most, their perseverance pays off. Destiny, God, or the arc of the universe which bends towards justice is on their side. And they live happily ever after. People crave that kind of reassurance. I know I do. I watch lots of TV fiction. My broad definition of romance is the dream of happily ever after that lives in all of us but can't be realized in reality. We need that dream because reality isn't like that. In real life, many heroes die failures, and many people who feel like heroes are actually total jerk-offs. I also watch a lot of anti-hero fiction. The anti-heroes are cynics, tough enough to face reality. They've given up hope that they've got any allies, the universe doesn't care, and there is no God. It's a dog-eat-dog world. The word cynic comes from canine. You just have to fend for yourself in cutthroat competition. When I watch a show like The Sopranos, I'm rooting for Tony. I get a romantic fantasy buzz off identifying with the badass he is. I'm rooting for him to win happily ever after too. Heroic and anti-heroic fictions are two ways to romanticize oneself. All romance is self-romance, the dream of my happily ever after by my standards. Even if you hope to heroically help everyone and save the world, like in Marvel movies, it's by your standards. They could be good standards. That's not the point. They're good by your standards. Trumpies are hopeful romantics too. Everyone is, just for different competing outcomes. I bet that to keep hope alive during the Trump train wreck, we'll all watch more TV fiction than news. Anti-Trumpists like me will take whatever reassurance we can get from those inspirational fictions. It'll motivate us to keep hammering away at our liberal vision of a better world. Because who knows, in the dark days to come, maybe the Trumpies will begin to embrace our vision. They should, because they're living in a fantasy world. It won't end well for them either. In the Trumpies' fantasies, we libtards are a bunch of naive romantic jerk-offs. Get over yourself was their talking point this last week. I heard it from several commenters. In other words, stop your egotistical virtue signaling, you libtard jerk-off. Get real. To which we say, no, they're the jerk-offs. Trumpies are clearly living in la-la land, pretending MAGA means make America great again by their standards happily ever after. They talk like it's already game over and they won hands down, now and forever. Such a ridiculous and doomed fantasy. MAGA is just a cult of jerk-offs pretending they've solved reality and won the world. And so it goes, dueling romantic dreams of happily ever after. Since I study natural history, I have some context for this. All organisms look out for themselves in cooperation and competition with others. If they could say it, they'd say, let the best clan win, and it damn well better be mine. Nature isn't cynical, but it's indifferent. It's neither a nurturing mother nature nor a wicked stepmother. It just is. So there's something to the cynical attitude. Things are different for us humans because with language we have imaginations and stories that far surpass what other critters can conceive. Many of the stories we traffic in are scary reality checks. To compensate, we crave affirmation to keep our confidence up. The romantic dream of happily ever after is a human thing in a universe that doesn't care. We remain self-interested animals striving for our ideals in conflict with others. Our hearts say, I just want the truth, and it damn well better be affirming. We're all romantic-cynical. And the way I see it, there are two main ways to deal with this romantic-cynical tension between hope and realism, optimism and honesty, romance and cynicism. Trump's way has always been the most popular, is to wage holy war, which is an oxymoron, posing as holy to slaughter the competition. Trump romanticizes himself as the white hat hero, to black hat obliterate all his rivals. I'd call this hypocritical romanticynism. Its mantra is no deed too dirty for a saint like me. As a lion, Trump would be a super predator. As a human, he's a super duper predator because he can moralize to claim his white hat and rationalize to justify his gangster black hat ruthlessness. He scolds you for your immorality and in the same breath ridicules you for caring about morality. If you could get a Trumpist to break character and introspect, which you can't, they're way too scared and desperate to keep up their heroic facade, they'd say something like this. Now, I won't get more realistic, thank you. I'm just after the biggest self-romancing buzz. I get more buzz by believing that my relieving romantic fictions are reality than I would by admitting that they're fiction. I don't want to just imagine that I'm exceptionally heroic. I want to know that I am. So what if it hurts people? That's actually a good thing. I get a bigger self-romancing buzz by hurting people because the contrast between my happiness and their misery amplifies the buzz. It makes me feel really exceptional. But I'm not a bad person. I get more buzz by believing that I'm helping people. See, this way I get the total package. No deed too dirty for a saint like me. And anyway, life is just a game. The object of the game is maximizing my buzz at minimal cost to me. It costs me nothing and gives me everything my self-romancing heart wants. I favor a different approach. Call it ironic romanticynicism. I admit that I'm a romanticynic. I admit that as a human, I need the mojo boost I get from feeling like either the hero or anti-hero who wins in the end happily ever after. Still, I'm realist enough to know I'm kidding myself. I recognize that to pretend I'm all that is likely to make me a naive, indulgent jerk-off, jerking off in the public square at everyone's expense. I therefore find it safest to exercise and manage my flattering, self-romanticizing impulses in fiction, venting my appetite to play hero or anti-hero in a fantasy world, not in the public square, nor even that much in real life. For example, I no longer date or partner. Realistically, I'm just not cut out for that attempt at happily ever after in real life. I play in bands singing my romantic heart out at restaurants and bars, but I wouldn't try that stuff at home anymore. Likewise, in my youth, I romanticized that I was right and the world was on the verge of some great transformation, coming around to my hopeful, heroic vision of peace, love, and freedom happily ever after. I sing songs about that too, but I'm too cynical for that now in real life. I watch a lot of TV fiction. I indulge my self-romantic urges in fictional worlds where I identify with the good guy who wins in the end. The evildoers go to jail and it's happily ever after. I call this kind of pride at being on the good guy's side virtual virtue. I like to get me a heavy dose of that virtual virtue. It makes me feel better about myself. I also watch a lot of TV fiction in which I identify with the anti-hero bad guys who win in the end, the gangsters, tyrants, and thugs who mow down all their rivals. These days, I'm exercising in a virtual reality game called Pistol Whip. In it, I'm dancing to grooving music, dodging bullets, and slaughtering thousands to the beat. When I'm winning, it's very self-romanticizing. Me fantasizing that I could just dance through life effortlessly, killing everything and everyone in my way, happily ever after. I call that virtual vice. People call it entertainment. I also call it egotainment, off-jerking, safe escapism, optimal illusion, strategic gullibility. It's how I keep my self-romanticizing confidence up. When I'm enjoying egotainment, I'm off-jerking, safely venting my impulse to be a self-romanticizing jerk. And then after, and this is really important, I zip up and get back to reality. When I'm indulging in virtual virtue, I imagine I'm the hero for society, one of the good guys. When I'm indulging in virtual vice, I imagine that I'm an alpha male and nobody better mess with me. I'll mow them down while dancing to the beat. And it's virtual, not real. I know it and I don't forget it. Either way, my aim is to get my yayas out, discharge the delusions of grandeur I need in order to keep my confidence up. After off-jerking, I zip up and return to reality, where I'm just another schmuck groping in the dark, trying to keep myself and my hopes alive, with no real prospects of happily ever after. The mottos for ironic romanticynicism might be, however far out you go, remember to come back. Take your flights of self-flattering, heroic and anti-heroic fantasy, but always with a return ticket to reality secure in your heart pocket. Self-love is important, but get a room, don't let it go to your head, and zip up after. I'm neither proud nor ashamed of off-jerking. I think it's a universal human need, like going to the bathroom, and for the same reason. You don't want to shit all over everything by being a self-romanticizing jerk-off in public. What we call the culture wars are largely battles between opposite public indulgences in self-romanticizing, divorced from reality. Not to get too romantic about it, if we don't try something different, it's likely to end civilization. We're likely to get so distracted by our public displays of self-affection that we neglect reality. Neglected reality will become still harder to bear, driving more and more of us further and further into la-la land. The likeliest cause of our extinction is death by romantic dreams of happily ever after. I get why both sides would accuse each other of being off in la-la land, though we'll probably have to call it something else now that we associate it with reality-checked fires, not the romantic movie business that was LA's chief export. I also get why neither side is willing to drop their heroic fantasies in the public square if the other side doesn't first. It's a culture war standoff that way. Still, I don't see either side prevailing, and I do see an alternative. Be an ironic romanticynic. Off-jerk in private and then zip up so you don't end up being a jerk-off in the public square. It's braver and more honest than the hypocritical romanticynicism Trump has exploited to take over the public square. I'll be making more videos on the ironic, romanticynical approach. If you're interested in what it takes to bring this kind of strategy and others into interaction with Trumpies, come join the free study group that formed around my videos. Just email me and I'll sign you up. We meet every other Sunday to explore how best to deal with the Trumpies now that their romantic dream of happily ever after gets its reality check. It's a loose but fertile hangout, and we keep our self-romancing to a minimum.